Good morning, Miss Butel's class. Back together again. All right, so what I'm doing is I thought that I would take a couple of the problems that I thought might be a little bit of a challenge for you, and I thought I'd work through them. So I'm going to start with this one. The reason I kept number one in this problem is that it is cosecant x, not sine, cosine, or tangent. So you've got to remember that cosecant x is 1 over sine x. Now, it's still going to equal 2 times the root of 3 over 3, but now I'm going to flip both of these because if this were just sine, it would be a lot easier to work. So I'm going to flip it, and if you wanted to put over 1, okay, but I wouldn't. And that's equal to 3 over 2 times the root of 3. Now, one thing that's wrong with this problem, or that's a difficult part of this, is that I have a square root of 3 here. So I've got to get rid of the square root of 3. You can use your calculator to do this for you. But for me, that's going to leave me 3 times the root of 3 all over 2 times 3. Now these 3's cancel. That gives me the total of square root of 3 over 2. Let your calculator take you from this step to this one if you need to. So now I need to know where to solve this. X is sine inverse of square root 3 over 2. So if I go to the square root of 3 over 2, now remember, sine is the second number. I am looking for square root of 3 over 2. It's positive here, and it should be positive here, because if you remember, it's all stairs. Take caution, and that would tell us that sine, all of them are positive in the first quadrant, sine's positive in the second quadrant. So here, x is equal to, this is 60 and 120. Okay, 60 degrees and 120 degrees. That is just a comma right there. My two answers. Okay, so moving on through, what else is helpful to look at that you all may get stuck on? Well, I'm just going to move on down here to number 3 because number 3, it's something besides just pulling out sine. You're not left with something quite as clean. Actually, 3 is not that bad. Let's go to 4. I like 4 better. All right, so going over here to number 4. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get this over here. I want to pull the smallest side over to the other side, and I want to be able to factor that out. I need this to go to 0, so I'm going to subtract 2 cotangent x minus 2 cotangent x. Now, what that's going to leave me on this side, and I'm going to take my time, cotangent x cosine squared x minus 2 cotangent x equal 0. So factoring out what matches on both sides, it's cotangent. So cotangent x times cosine squared x minus 2 equal 0. All right, so what this is going to leave me is cotangent x equals 0 and cosine of cosine squared x, excuse me, minus 2 equals 0. Add 2 to both sides. Cosine squared x equals 2. Take the square root of both sides. Wow, this is using one of the things we just did the other day. Cosine, oops, the squared is gone. Didn't mean to do that. Just so you know, this square root and that squared undoes each other. All right, so cosine x equals, be careful that you get a plus or minus in here, square root of 2. Why don't I like that? I want it to be the square root of 2 over 2, because that's not going to come up on this. Well, let's see if I can grab this. It's not letting me pull it down. All right, I can't use my thing for this. All right, going on down. All right, so let's go back. So cotangent is equal to 0. So cotangent is 0. This is a little bit weird to do. I'm glad I'm doing this one for you. Cotangent x equals 0. Remember, this is 1 over tangent x. And if it's 0, we can put it over 1. So this is still equal to 0 over 1. So that means tangent x equals 1 over 0. And this, my friends, do you know what? It's not 0. It's undefined. That's A-U-N-D for undefined. All right, so I've got to go, look where it's undefined. It's undefined here. It's undefined here. These are the tangents in green. These are the tangent ones. And this is where tangent is 0 and tangent is 0. But undefined is up here on the top, down here on the bottom. All right, so this one happens to be at 90 degrees and 270. All right, the fact that I get cosine equal to the square root of 2. I don't want to leave this blank, but this causes me to grab a calculator, and we get to see the wrong thing pulled up. Here's a calculator. I have to do, where is cosine the square root of 2? Because it's not the square root of 2 anywhere. So what I'm going to have to do is second cosine second root 2. I actually know what this is. Well, I'm thinking tangent. Just kidding. Enter. Oh, domain error. Why did that happen? Well, that happened because the square root of 2. Let's clear this out. Let's just do second root 2, enter. Let's change it. 1.4, it cannot be greater than 1. So this one is undefined. So is it the end of the world if you get something that doesn't come up on your chart? No, it's not. So I did x equals cosine inverse of plus or minus root 2, but I found out that this is 1.4, which is no answer, no solution. So we do have two solutions, 270, that's not 278, by the way, and 90. There we go. All right, so let me see which other one might cause little problems. I think number 7 is a good challenge, but before I do this, I really like this thing. Let me grab it. Sorry. All right, let's take it down the page with us because it's handy dandy. All right. It is not working with me. All right. All right, so number 7. All right, starting with number 7, I'm going to take this, I'm going to look and see what can I pull out of all the pieces. The one thing that I see that belongs to both is tangent x. What am I left with? The square root of 3 minus 2 sine x equals 0. Now, I've got to set each part equal to 0. So tangent x equals 0. And I'm going to move it. Well, let me take my time. 2 sine x equals 0. Okay, so not wanting to get in a rush here. I'm taking my time. Okay, back to this. Oops, draw. Okay, so x equals tan inverse of 0. And look where tangent is 0. These two places. So that gives me 0 and 180. Let's get a 1 in front of that 80. Okay. This one, I have to subtract the square root of 3. And I'm left with negative root 3. I've got to divide by negative 2. And look at these negatives. They cancel. So sine x equals square root 3 over 2. This is not plus or minus. Be careful. So sine, remember sine is the second one, and I need to see where it's the square root of 3 over 2. Positive square root of 3 over 2. So that is at 60 and 120. And I did not write it, with sine inverse, but I could have. So 4 answers. I'm done. All right. Now, these down here are a little nicer just because they were pre-factored for you. So I'm going to leave those for you to do, but I thought this would be helpful seeing a couple of these worked. All right. I hope this helps. And we can meet online if we need to do so for me to help you. You just got to download the Microsoft Teams app. Have a good day.